Hi, this is Bunton again with lesson 6 of our visual and functional maths at E3 level. Today's topic is on number patterns. You will learn that all number patterns have a rule for the next number. You will also learn that some patterns might use decimals, and you must follow the rule to find the next number in a pattern. This particular topic will be very useful if you want to learn your multiplication tables, if you want to understand the structure of a decimal number, fractions, and of course whole numbers. So what are number patterns? All number patterns have a rule for the next number. There are lists of numbers that follow a particular pattern. To describe the pattern, you need to find a rule to get from one number to the next. It's like a game, really. The rule often involves adding or subtracting an amount to a number to get the next number in the pattern. The amount you add or subtract stays the same each time. To find the rule, you need to find the difference between each number and the next number in the pattern. So if you're counting 2, 4, 6, then you need to find the difference between 2 and 4, which is 2. In my lesson on multiplication and division, we looked at how to learn the multiplication table, and I think we went through the 7 times pattern, which is counting in 7, 14, 21, and so on. All number patterns have a rule for the next pattern. Example 1, ascending, that's counting up. A number pattern starts 3, 7, 11, 15. What is the rule to get from one number to the next? To find the rule, you need to look at the difference between each number and the next number and the pattern. In this case, you have 7 minus 3 is 4. 11 minus 7 is 4. 15 minus 11 is 4. So the number pattern for 3, 7, 11, 15 will be to be adding 4. So what will be the next number in that series? Yes, you're right. You add 4 to 15, which will give us 19. At the bottom that you see some diagrams which will help you. The difference is 4 and the numbers are getting bigger each time. So to get from one number to the next, you add 4. Okay? Example 2, descending. A new fountain is designed so that each level is smaller than the previous one. The widths of the levels follow a pattern. The first 4 widths in inches are 23, 21, 19, 17, and 15. What is the number to get from one width to the next? Let's see whether you can get it. 2 seconds. Okay, look at the difference between each number and the next number in the pattern. 23 minus 21 is equal to 2. 21 minus 19 is equal to 2. You get my drift? 19 minus 17 is equal to 2, and so on. So what's the pattern? Yeah, subtract 2. So from 15, what will be the next number? Subtract 2, and then you'll have 13. Subtract 2, and I think you'll have 11. So the difference is 2, and the widths are getting smaller each time. So to get from one width to the next, you need to subtract 2 inches. Okay? These patterns are applied in a lot of building construction, like building staircases, the height of the steps and the height of the staircase and so on. You can apply math in so many real life things. This is one of the most important reasons why you need to learn maths. All number patterns have a rule for the pattern. And if you look at the bottom of this screen, you'll see how the patterns are worked. From 23 minus 2 to 21 minus 2 to 19. So you see why we say it's a number pattern, because you can actually represent it by using a diagram. Example 3. Follow the rules to find the number pattern below. A pattern starts at 37, 31, 25, and 19. Find the next two numbers in the pattern. You remember, first of all, is this ascending or descending? And then once you've determined that, look at the number from the largest, and what do? Yes, you subtract. Let's see what the answer is. A pattern starts at 37, and then the next is 31. So what's the difference? 37 minus 31 is 6. That's good. Let's go on to the next one. Minus 25 from 31. Yes, you have 6. And then 19 from 25. Yes, you have 6. The numbers are getting smaller each time. So the rule is to subtract 6. Then use the rules to find the next two numbers in the pattern. That is for question 2. So from 19, what's the next number? You subtract 6, which is 13. And then from 13, what's the next number? You subtract 6, which is 7. So the next two numbers in the sequence are, yes, 13 and 7. Let's look at some practice questions which I'll read for you. A sequence starts 5, and then 11, 17, 23, 29. What is the rule to get from one number to the next number? Question 2. Matteo collects vinyl albums. The number he has at the end of each month follows a pattern. At the end of January, he has 5 albums. At the end of February, he has 9 albums. At the end of March, he had 13 albums. And at the end of April, he had 17 albums. How many albums will he have at the end of May? Question 3. James seals boxes in a factory. He counts how many boxes he has left to seal each minute and writes the number down. After 4 minutes, he has the pattern 67, 55, 43, 31. How many boxes does James seal every minute? How many boxes will James have left after 6 minutes? So these are the 3 questions. Attempt them. Read the question carefully. For example, sometimes your answer does not have to be in numbers. For example, question 1. The question asks, what is the rule to get from one number to the next? In other words, is it ascending or descending? And of course, you can use number to add meaning to what you want to say. So read the question carefully, understand the question before you answer the question. Some patterns might use decimals. You remember we learned decimals in our last lesson. Decimals are smaller than whole numbers. Well, they are smaller than 1. Okay, example 1. A hardware store sells wooden planks. The width of the planks follow a pattern. The width are 3 centimeters, 3.6 centimeters, 4.2 centimeters, and 4.8 centimeters. What are the widths of the next 2 planks? Apply your pattern, subtract. You've learnt about decimals, so you should know how to add or subtract using decimals now. To find the rules, you need to look at the difference between each number and the next number in the pattern. So 3.6 minus 3 is 0.6 centimeters. 4.2 minus 3.6 is 0.6 centimeters. 4.8 minus 4.2 is minus 6 centimeters. Once you've got those figures, you can answer your questions. The numbers are getting bigger each time. So to get from one number to the next, you need to add 0.6. So you'll have 3 centimeters, then 3.6 centimeters, and then 4.2 centimeters, and then 4.8 centimeters. Remember, how did you get to 4.2? Because in decimals, when you count up to 9, the next decimal point is a whole number, 1. So you add that 1 to the 3. You see, your rules of adding whole numbers applies again. So if you look at the arrows there, you see at the bottom the difference between 3 centimeters and 3.6 centimeters is plus 0.6 centimeters, and that is what is added right through to the answers we get. So use the rule to find the next 2 sizes up. So if you have 4.8 centimeters, what should you do for the next number? You add 0.6, which will give you 5.4. And then you add 0.6 again to 5.4 to give you 6 centimeters. Now, answering your questions, answer it sensibly. Think before you write. So the widths of the next 2 planks are 5.4 and 6 centimeters. Example 2, number patterns using decimals. Lynn measures the depth of a river every morning during a week in a dry season. She notices that the depth changes in a pattern. Her measurements for the first 4 days were 1.3 meters, 1.14 meters, 0.98 meters, and 0.82 meters. What is the rule for the pattern in the river depths from day to day? To find the rule, you need to look at the differences between the numbers from start to finish. First, you find the rule, you need to look at the differences between the numbers. It starts at 1.3 meters, and then the next one is 1.14, so it seems to be going down, right? So the difference is 0.16. You get 1.16, take 1.14 minus 0.98. Again, the difference is 0.16 meters. You begin to see a pattern. Next, you take 0.98 meters and you subtract 0.82 meters, and the difference is 0.16 meters. So it's reasonable to assume that it's going down by 0.16 meters. And then your answer, sensibly, so the depth decreases by 0.16 meter every day. So let's summarize number patterns. You've learned that all number patterns have rules. You either add a consistent number or you subtract a consistent number. Knowing these rules will help you learn and understand the numbers. An example is number patterns help you to learn multiplication tables. And of course, it also helps you to learn division, because division is the opposite of multiplication. Decimals have structures that we need to understand and apply correctly. Fractions and decimals are less than 1. Number patterns enable us to organize and arrange numbers correctly. This has been a very, very short lesson, but it's very important because it will help us to learn so many things about numbers. Okay? So I have here some practice questions for you. I separate them into 2 sections just because of space. So you have question 1 about Mia's training for a race, and then you have 4 questions on that question 1 alone. So read it carefully before you start answering the question. The second set, question 2 and 3, are more of a problem-like question. Read and understand your questions. This is the end of our series on number at NT Level 3. Next week, we're going to look at the practice questions I gave you for the past 6 lessons. That is, understanding numbers, adding and subtracting, multiplying and dividing, decimals, and number patterns. I will provide the answers as well. What you will have to do is spend your time, read through all the questions, attempt to answer them first. Do not just look at the answers and think you know the topic. Attempt each section questions before you check your answer. Only after you've attempted the question should you check the answer. That way you will learn. You remember what I've always been saying. It's okay to make mistakes as long as we learn from them. The purpose of that set of questions I'm going to be giving you next week is to help you identify the areas you need to improve on, the questions you need to understand, the different patterns of questions. Test yourself and then you check to find out what you did not get for yourself. Of course, pat yourself on the shoulder. That would be very, very good to encourage you onto the next topic. Our next series of lessons will be on measuring. I'll tell you more of that next week. Thank you.